During the great age of exploration, the mid 1400s through about the mid 1700s, sailors would return to port with some incredible stories, places they had been, things they had seen, creatures they had encountered that no one else had ever encountered anywhere else. And to this day, we still haven't encountered those creatures, at least not officially. I wonder if some of those stories come from what we know today to be Antarctica. Now, the image that I'm showing is, of course, fantasy art, but virtually every major popular RPG game that has come out in the last 30 years deals with creatures like orcs, elves, trolls, gnomes, giants, ettins, and we have searched the globe high and low, except for Antarctica, and have not found any evidence of these creatures in any real number. Now, given how many sailors told the same stories, you would have to wonder, where could this place be that has all of these incredible features, all of these incredible living beings? There's enough room under the ice in Antarctica for mountain ranges, settlements, areas the size of the island of Manhattan. To encounter a building like this wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. And this isn't from some conspiracy theory website. This is from science. Science has proven this. They've done studies where they've gone down and shown that there are these massive open areas underneath the ice sheet, completely unexplored, a continent larger than the entire continent of Europe. Think of every country in Europe. Now think of someplace bigger. This is what I believe is going to be the biggest news story of the next 100 years. It's going to change the face of the world. If there really will be a new world order, this is where it will start. Articles like this are all over the place, and nobody puts it together. It's funny that the standard that they have for life in outer space is this really low bar, but evidence for life here on the planet is much higher. For example, this is livescience.com. Hidden rivers of warm water threaten vast Antarctic glacier. Of course, adding in the political angle. Talking about sea level rises, but not seeing one level deeper what this could mean. Hidden rivers of warm water? We also know they found this. And this is more proof of a theory that I put out, probably a few months back, about how Antarctica was a very different place as recent as 300 years ago. Caches of mummified penguins warn of climate change impacts, but look at the information. Adelie penguins in East Antarctica died in large numbers roughly 200 to 750 years ago. Probably, no proof, as a result of heavy precipitation. Now, one of the things I've loved to show this, it shows the what they call the Roaring Forties. This gap between the Antarctic Peninsula up here and the tip of South America. Everything that you're seeing here, all of these swirling storms, would not exist without that gap. They would not exist without that gap. If at one time there was a land bridge, it would have changed the currents of the ocean, and of course then changed the weather, and made a great deal of Antarctica much more inhabitable. Which means some of these places could very well have been real, or might still be real, just having moved underneath the ice. Another story from nature.com. shrinking glaciers lead to growing lakes, meaning as the planet warms, more fresh water is available. And this picture is from the Arctic tundra, meaning in the future there's going to be more arable land, more places where crops can be planted that they weren't able to be planted even as recent as 30 years ago. A frozen land goes green as Earth warms. More evidence from science. A hidden radioactive heat source seems to be melting East Antarctica from below. And they've flown over, and this is what I was referring to earlier about these giant areas that are open. This graph really doesn't do it justice, how big these canyons are. They're theorizing about hot rock doing the melting, but what do we know about life? You add in some heat, you add in some nutrients, you add in some fresh water. If any of this existed on a planet in our solar system, they would virtually be guaranteeing that there would be life. Another article, ScienceAlert.com, satellite data has revealed relics of lost continents hiding under Antarctica. And this is satellite imagery. So people on the ground, people flying over, satellite imagery. Plus we have all of the stories from the 1500s. We've used this one before. September 8, 2017, phys.org. Warm Antarctic caves harbor secret life. Scientists. If it wasn't for politics and it wasn't for social upheaval, this would be story number 1. A secret world of animals and plants, including unknown species, may live in warm caves under Antarctica's glaciers. The caves, hollowed out by steam, are light and could reach temperatures of 77 Fahrenheit. Whole ecosystems of flora and fauna deep beneath the frozen surface. Once again, not some crazy conspiracy theory website saying this. Phys.org saying this. This is an image that I've used for a long time about what a settlement may or may not look like in Antarctica, but think about the reality of this. An entire continent, the size actually larger than Europe, far larger than the United States and Canada combined, with 4 times as amount of fresh water as there is anywhere known in the world. Volcanic soil, warm rivers, caves that are 77 degrees Fahrenheit, some caverns that are bigger than the island of Manhattan. Talk about a place to resettle. Talk about a place to move. The definition of getting away from it all. And who knows what may already be there. Maybe those stories of orcs, trolls, gnomes, dwarves, elves, ettins. Who knows what type of life adaptations could have happened from living underneath an ice cave, or living at the bottom of the world, for that matter. These are the kind of things that, and I'm going to say something that's real controversial here. It is becoming clear that the new realm of thought in the world isn't coming from science. It's coming, believe it or not, from gamers. It's coming from artists. It's coming from people who conceptualize images like this in their minds and then bring them into reality using whatever canvas they can. The people that we rely upon for thought, modern science, is actually all caught up in their fields because of the story of global warming. Oh no, sea level rise and all this nonsense. Not actually using the gray matter between their ears for what it was meant for. thinking, wait a minute, what could we find? What blessing could come from this? Think of all of the north of Canada being warm enough to farm, like we farm in Nebraska, like we farm in Iowa, or even places like Antarctica, being able to be settled, be farmed. And think of how much history could be, I guess, looking for the proper word here, correlated, confirmed. All of the missing pieces for so long that people have been looking for could be found. And everything could come together. This is why I kind of stick on Antarctica, because there's something about this. There's something about this idea of a brand new place that science says has everything you need for life. Everything you need from below to live and to thrive and to flourish. And the world wasn't discovered in a week. It wasn't discovered in a year. It wasn't discovered in a decade. The great age of exploration started in the mid to late 1400s and carried on through the 1500s, through the 1600s, through the 1700s. Hundreds of years went by. So that might be what we're looking at. It might not happen in our lifetime. But if we're going to leave a legacy of how did we spend our time, I think this would be a great way to do it. And I'll leave it there. Like, share, subscribe.